Hello, TechCrunch Disrupt, and thank you for joining us at the Design Like Whoa booth on day 2. My name's Murray, and I'm Head of Business Development at Design Like Whoa. I'm really excited to have Jordan Burbach, Senior Vice President at Marsh Private Equity and M&A Services with us today. Jordan is a longtime client and mentor, and I'm thrilled to have him share his wisdom as we talk about adjusting the sales process during COVID-19, how to ensure that you continue to close deals during a pandemic, and how technology has changed the way that he engages with his prospects and clients. Jordan, thanks for being here. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great seeing you too, even in the digital platform here.
It's great. It's awesome. I want to start off by asking you a bit about your role. For those who don't know, Marsh is a leading provider of insurance brokering and risk management. So can you talk a little bit about your specific role?
Yeah, so I work within our M&A sector. We provide insurance advice to private equity firms as they look to acquire different companies. But a huge part of my role is business development and relationship management. So on top of the M&A work, a lot of that is historically in-person interactions, client entertainment and such like that in order to create new relationships for Marsh throughout that space.
Cool. So your traditional, the traditional interactions that you and other sales professionals rely upon to develop personal relationships are no longer really socially acceptable. Dinners, lunch, coffee, sporting events, they're all kind of a thing of the past, at least at this given time. How are you pivoting to ensure that you're staying connected and building trust when your resources are seemingly limited?
Yeah, no, great question. So, just taking a step back, as I historically think about sales, it's a two-function equation, right? There's item number one, which is industry knowledge and expertise, and that's a given, and we can continue to do that in today's environment very easily via email, calls, content creation, etc. The key component that you highlighted that's missing right now is that relationship development and trust development aspect. And without having in-person meetings and doing coffees or dinners or sporting events, it's challenging to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's caused us to have to think how can we move forward in today's digital world or COVID environment. So Design Like Whoa has been really helpful with that in terms of helping us procure work from home care packages that we've been able to send to certain clients. Inclusive of health items such as face masks and hand sanitizer, but also a handwritten note to be able to really make a unique connection with our clients that we just can't do right now in the current social environment.
Yeah, it's been great. I know you've been doing a ton of kitting with us, which has been fun to see and great probably on your end. I wanted to ask though, for those that are concerned around budgeting, allocations, how do you justify, gifting over the traditional BD efforts when you can't be face to face?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at it as any business, specifically a business that's trying to grow, if you're not investing within your business and your client environment, then you're going to completely stunt growth. So I think while people are budget conscious in today's COVID world with an uncertain economy and uncertain future, you still have to be able to spend in the right places in order to encourage business development and to encourage relationships. And keep connectivity with clients. So, when I think about it and I look at my expense budget and such like that, and if you're a company, it's, you're saving money in terms of no travel right now, and you're not spending as much money in terms of sporting events and dinners and such like that simply because you can't do it. So there is budget that is oftentimes available in your travel and expense budget, but it's making sure that you understand you continually have to invest within that arena. Otherwise, new opportunities, the sales funnel starts to dry up in 6 months to a year down the road if you're not continuously making that investment.
I completely agree. And, I recently read a Harvard Business Review article that was titled How to Keep Closing B2B Deals During the Pandemic. One of the most notable quotes that called out to me was engaging with prospects, social posts, writing handwritten letters, and giving strategic, genuine gifts with your company's ethical guidelines all in mind are smart tactics for staying top of mind. but they're just at the tip of the iceberg. Continuing to generate leads and close sales will require continuous experimentation. For us, while companies have been doing their own unique problems during, for us, while all companies have their own unique problems during this time, we've been seeing a huge amount of people and a consistent theme just reaching out saying, how do we increase engagement? How do we kind of keep connected during this work from home environment? So how are you increasing engagement beyond a kit? Is it a happy hour, virtual happy hour, or volunteer event? You know, there needs to be more, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when COVID hit, we did a lot of Zoom video conference calls, and that was effective for the first couple of months. And then you saw people get burnt out from being online too much and going through that. So I thought that lost its effectiveness. But one thing you mentioned in that article is, continuing to adapt and evolve in terms of how you approach these types of things, and continue to take refining of how you do it. But one thing that I adamantly believe is, if you're not taking those steps to adapt your process and evolve in terms of how you approach new business development, you're going to be left stuck in the mud behind, and you're not going to be able to catch up to some of your competitors, or you're just missing out on a great opportunity to find ways to differentiate. I mean, even if you think about how restaurants have behaved during COVID, the folks who are doing the best were the first movers in terms of doing takeout or doing delivery really well. I don't think new business development is any different from that, in terms of being a first mover of how can I find other creative ways to continue that connection with my clients. And, we've done it thus far very effectively, through direct shipment to kind of these work from home care packages that we've worked with you guys on. And ultimately that will be another quiver in the approach of how we approach sales. Hopefully things will return to more of a normal, and we'll be able to do a little bit of both. But I think, it's an effective other tool to be able to use as you develop those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually been really interesting to see the initial back in March and April, really when people started to recognize that this was a long-term thing, that the engagement wasn't going to be there for a while. The initial kits or gifts that went out were at one point, and just over the last few months, the creativity that we've been able to develop with you and other clients, it's just been really fun and really amazing to watch that progression. It's a continuous opportunity just to better know your clients, better know your prospects, and really hone in on what resonates with them, and then finding the right gift, kit, experience, whatever it might be, to really drive home that kind of personal feel and touch.
Yeah. And I think one thing's important to remember, right, is as we think about that, or at least as I think about going through this type of an exercise, it's not as much gifting as in terms of giving someone a gift. It's an opportunity to say you care. And I think how you guys have curated the kits in terms of having personal health items and handwritten cards is really critical to that success. Because ultimately, that's what we want to convey to our clients and prospects and communicate, not only through this, but in our daily communications, is we care and we're going to be there, both from a business side and a personal side. And that's something that's really important to us. Yeah.
And I'm glad you pulled that out, because that's something I've seen with what you provide for your clients and prospects, but that's also really important. It's tough times for everybody across the board, and showing through health and wellness products or whatever it might be that you're providing to your folks. It's giving that care as opposed to here's a gift for the sake of it. You mentioned Zoom and just technology. This being TechCrunch, I'd like to bring that up. What technology has impacted the way that you work with clients in an amazing way, and what's something that you could do without at this given time?
Yeah, well, I think where technology is right now has really helped us stay connected with clients during this period. I think you saw, even before COVID happened, you saw more and more aspects of communications of clients going between emails, phone calls, as opposed to the traditional in-person interactions. So that was already happening. It just accelerated with COVID. in items such as video conferencing, virtual conferences, Zoom calls, et cetera, has been really key to maintaining an increased level of engagement with clients. And hopefully with TechCrunch, Disrupt, there's some other great ideas out there and great technology that, we can continue to use to be able to kind of solve this problem of being able to maintain relationships with folks and maintain trust. As we go forward in an environment where we can't do the traditional types of events and such.
Absolutely. I have a feeling there's going to be some amazing tech that comes out of this conference, and who knows, next year, if we're in the same position as we are now, maybe we'll do this interview literally virtually next to each other in the same room using AI or however you want to think about it. Mm-hmm. How do you think COVID will impact sales and just the your traditional sales role long term?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly an optimist and hope things will return back to normal at a certain point in time. But, kind of touching on what I had mentioned earlier on, even if they do return back to full normal or close to normal of what we represent as normal, right? I still think sales tactics or relationship development tools that were learned or utilized during COVID can be very effective in a normal environment as well. And that kind of continues with the thought process around continue to adapt, continue to evolve, continue to add different methodologies in terms of like how you approach that. And I think COVID has actually kind of refreshed that of saying, hey, we need to find new and creative ways to be able to stay top of mind and be able to keep connectivity with the clients that we work with on a daily basis. So, I think even as COVID hopefully moves on quicker than later, the things that were learned during COVID will be really effective and helpful going forward as well.
I agree. I think this year is all about being adaptable and agile. And if you can't beat it, you just have to run with it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Well, is there anything that I didn't cover today that you want to share or address to the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think where Design Like Well could be useful and helpful to us and our goal is, you work with a lot of different companies and a lot of different industries. And so as people, continue to reach out to you and find ways of how do we engage with our employees or our clients and prospects, it's really interesting for us to be able to hear that and learn from what others are doing. And so we can figure out how to adapt our approach and our strategy with other people as they continue to think through, or you guys continue to think through and create new ideas in that space. So, that's one thing I look forward to over the next 6 months is staying connected with you all and finding ways to understand what other clients of yours are doing within the space and other ideas that you guys have coming up.
Absolutely. And we've just had such an influx of ideas and even partnerships at Design Like Whoa over the last few months. And we will be turning out quarterly catalogs that really identify and highlight kind of what's been working, what people are finding are great ways to engage and support their clients and prospects teams and whoever it might be. And we're happy to share that. If at any time anyone ever wants to learn more, always reach out at hello@designlikewhoa.com or myself, Amanda Murray. But Jordan, I can't thank you enough for your time. I always appreciate your input, and it's great to have you here at TechCrunch with us today. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll enjoy the rest of the TechCrunch conference.
You too. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. Take care.